Starting in commie state of New York, and Tish James, who deserves to be behind bars, and I say if there's any cosmic justice on this earth, she will be behind bars one day, takes to Twitter and tweets out with pride that she's suing Donald John Trump or the campaign. I'm discovering that I don't believe AI is, ChatGPT, Grok, they think like a very linear thinking human, and they can't get past nuances for the purposes of understanding broader questions. Just asking, what is New York Attorney General Letitia James suing Donald John Trump for? And they say, she's not suing Trump. I was like, I'm sorry, here's a link to the lawsuit. Oh, she's not suing Trump personally. Okay. Do not rely on AI for anything, and anybody asking Grok on Twitter in anything other than a sarcastic sort of stylistic, hey, Grok, tell me something, you're going to not understand things and get misled. So you can tune in every day and watch Viva, who does the deeper research and actually, reads through the proceedings with the perspective of a former Montreal litigator turned political legal commentator. New York AG James, who belongs behind bars, writes, "We're suing the Trump administration for attacking access to gender-affirming healthcare. They're threatening providers with baseless criminal charges and targeting youth already facing barriers. We won't stop fighting for the safety and rights of the transgender community." She's the hero in her own story, as is every villain. Now, I wanted to go see what was going on with this story, and I started with a good article coming out of the Post-Millennial talking about the nature of the lawsuit. Let me bring it up right now. Post-Millennial's avatar looks a lot like Twitter in general, in smaller form, so gets confusing. Tish James sues Trump to allow child sex changes in New York. Do you see, you're getting two ends of the spectrum here. One is from a confirmed liar, and I'm talking about Tish James, who you might recall from such malicious persecutions as the one that she instigated against Donald John Trump for crimes that she herself probably more likely than not committed. You get her saying, I'm doing it for the children, and you get the Post-Millennial saying she's suing to allow sex changes for children in New York. And then you're going to say, well, which one's more accurate? Spoiler, Post-Millennial's more accurate. New York State Attorney General Letitia James is suing the Trump administration over the federal ban on medical sex changes for minors. "We're suing the Trump administration for attacking access to gender-affirming healthcare," James said. "They're threatening providers, yada, yada, yada." We saw the tweet. Her post said that, quote, "The Trump administration is running a shadow campaign attacking access to gender-affirming care. The notion that medical sex changes, like administration of puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones, or even invasive surgery, are gender-affirming is prevalent among leftist politicians and activists, and Dr. Mengele, and Nazi experimenting doctors who would do things to the human body just to see if it could be done. Performing vivisections on pregnant women, taking twin sisters and experimenting them to see which ones suffer what from what medications. I think this might have actually been the Japanese to the Chinese in Unit 193, whatever it was. Putting people's limbs in cryogenically freezing them while they're still alive to see what impact that would have by way of frostbite. Dr. Mengele is looking up from hell and saying, oh my goodness, even I would never have thought of doing that. Take a piece of skin off the leg so you can create what doesn't even look like a wanker, and cut off the breasts of mentally unwell teenagers, adolescents, autistic young adults, and call it affirming care. Holy hell. That is what you call Nazi-level euphemisms. Mercy killings. James in New York are joined by 15 other states who claim that the prohibition on medical sex changes for those under the age of 19 is, quote, unlawful, and that the services, which often include double mastectomies and orchidectomies, are, quote, medically necessary. We can skip this because, well, let's read this. The attorney generals are asking the court to halt this unconstitutional pressure campaign and ensure transgender youth can continue to access legally protected health care without fear, the suit says. Federal government is running cruel and targeted harassment campaigns against providers who offer lawful, life-saving care. What would you rather have? A mutilated girl with a double mastectomy, or a mutilated boy, used to be a girl mutilated, or a girl who's going to take her own life because we will not give her this life-saving treatment? And now let's take a brief pause from this video for a word from our sponsor, Qualia Senolytics. Everybody getting old is not easy, and you have to do it with grace, but it doesn't mean accepting all of the aches and pains that people attribute with normal aging. Introducing Qualia Senolytic, the first of its kind formula designed to help your body naturally eliminate what are referred to as senescent cells. Qualia Senolytic is at the frontier of what is currently possible in the science of human aging. Senolytics are a science field revolutionizing human aging. A big culprit behind that so-called middle-age feeling can be the senescent cells, aka zombie cells that linger in your body after their usual function and useful function is no longer necessary, wasting your energy and resources. Break it down like this: the accumulation of zombie cells can lead to less energy, slower workout recovery, joint discomfort, and basically feeling old. Qualia Senolytic is a groundbreaking, clinically tested supplement with 9 vegan plant-derived compounds that help your body naturally eliminate these so-called senescent cells, these zombie cells, helping you feel years younger in just months. Here's how it works. You take it just 2 days a month, helping your body naturally eliminate these so-called zombie cells to age better at the cellular level. And Qualia's breakthrough formulation is vegan, non-GMO, and tested by leading scientists. Experience the science of feeling younger. Go to qualia.com/Viva for up to 50% off your purchase and use code Viva for an additional 15%. That is qualialife.com. You can go to the website, see everything that they have. Qualia makes great products. I have my Mind formula right on my desk. It has caffeine on it, so don't take it too soon before going to bed. Thank you, Qualia, for sponsoring this video. The link is in the description. And now back to the vlog. The administration is ruthlessly targeting young people who already face immense barriers just to be seen and heard. This is in a lawsuit that this is alleged, and are putting countless lives at risk. In New York nationwide, we will never stop fighting for the dignity, safety, and basic rights of the transgender community. Let me scroll to the, let's see, here we're going to just finish this up here. She laments that, quote, some providers are even scaling back or eliminating services entirely. In New York, several major health systems reportedly canceled youth patients' gender-affirming care appointments abruptly in the wake of the president's executive orders, leaving families with other care or guidance, denying access to that care the Attorney General warns will cost lives. Supreme Court, however, has already disagreed, and the evidence presented before the court shows that the advocacy undertaken by those medical associations is not evidence-based. In their recent term, the court ruled that the state of Tennessee can ban sex changes for minors. All right, so you've heard both perspectives now. Who do you think is going to be more accurate? Post-millennials more accurate. But I want to bring up just a couple of the actual allegations from this lawsuit, because it's flipping wild. It's Nazi-esque in its insanity. And it actually requires people to go through the lawsuit, and read it for themselves. I say jail for Tish because I genuinely believe this woman belongs behind bars. Look at this allegation, paragraph 42. Medical intervention to address gender dysphoria may include puberty delaying medication, hormone treatment, and surgery. Healthcare that has been referred to collectively as, quote, gender affirming care. Do you know what's amazing? Murdering mentally retarded people back in Nazi Germany was referred to as mercy killings. Murdering people who were physically, mentally impaired, they called it mercy killings because you never call it murder. This is nothing shy of child genital mutilation, but these idiot lefty progressive genital mutilators have figured out a nice euphemism for it. If we call genital mutilation gender affirming care, who can call us the baddies for administering it? It goes on. Puberty delaying medications, sometimes called, quote, puberty blockers, are used to delay the changes of puberty in transgender and some intersex adolescents who have already started puberty in order to prevent changes to those individuals' bodies that are inconsistent with their gender identity, and that, if they were to proceed, could exacerbate the individual's gender dysphoria. Listen to this. This is the argument you always hear the Nazis of the modern era use. Puberty blockers are administered through injection several times a year, subcutaneously, yada, yada, yada. Puberty blockers are also medically accepted treatment that is prescribed for precocious puberty. I'm going to take this out and come back to the second part in a second. Do you know why you administer puberty blockers to precocious puberty? Because puberty is occurring before the body is ready for it. Precocious puberty, I think it's girls is 8, boys is 9. If a child, a young child at that age starts going through puberty too early, before the general window for which it is healthy for the body, they'll delay it so that the window fits within the natural time frame that a body is to go through it. fundamentally different than pausing the only open window for which the body can go through it, thinking that you're going to go through puberty when you're 18 if you delay it when you're 14. I mean, these people are taking one medical condition for which there is a recognized temporary solution to actually delay the precocious puberty to the time frame within which it's supposed to happen naturally and healthfully for the body. Because I would imagine an 8-year-old, 9-year-old girl, boy going through certain body changes, their bones might not be ready for the change. There might be other reasons for which it's medically too early that it would be unhealthy. Pause it. And then you have your window from 11 to 16 to go through it. Taking a 12, 13, 14-year-old kid and then saying, we're going to pause your puberty because you're not mentally ready to deal with it, not physically in the body, other than empowering the mental illness, is closing the only window because it doesn't happen when you're 18. And so these idiot scoundrel criminals take the only, medically necessary argument and then confound delaying it for the proper window for delaying the proper window to when it doesn't happen. And what you end up happening is you have a kid with a micro penis that can't have a proper orgasm for the rest of their lives, improper bone density, mutilated for the rest of their lives. And then they think, oh, we saved that kid. My goodness, thank us. So thank goodness that we had the precocious puberty argument, because now we went to blocking precocious puberty to blocking puberty. Oh, it delays it. It delays it. Yeah, of course. When you delay something for which you only have a finite time frame, you don't delay it, you interrupt it. But wait, there's more. What was the second part of this post? Let's go back here. It's amazing what happens. Yeah, you actually go read the law. Section 106. Listen to this. Listen to what the executive order issues. Section 2 of the Denial of Care Order sets out the following definition. A, the term, quote, children means an individual under the age of 19. Yep, that's kind of typically what it means, depending on the jurisdiction. Maybe 16 in some jurisdictions. Sorry. They want to allow minors who can't smoke, can't vape, can't get tattoos, can't drive, can't own a gun, to be able to lop off their boobs and tear off pieces of flesh to make what does not, even out of a horror movie a la The Human Centipede, look like a penis. The term pediatric means relating to the child care. The phrase, quote, chemical and surgical mutilation, end quote, means, quote, the use of puberty blockers, including GnRH agonists, and other interventions to delay the onset or progression of normally timed puberty in an individual who does not identify as his or her sex. The use of sex hormones such as androgen blockers, estrogen, progesterone, or testosterone to align an individual's physical appearance with an identity that differs from his or her sex, and surgical procedures that attempt to transform an individual's physical appearance to align with an identity that differs from his or her sex, or that attempt to alter or remove an individual's sexual organs to minimize or destroy their natural biological functions. That is, by the way, as far as I'm concerned, the definition of genital mutilation. I get into this argument with people who are hell-bent on trying to convince me that circumcision, male circumcision, is genital mutilation, and that it's somehow analogous to FGM, female genital mutilation. I say it's not. Here you go. You got one right here. I mean, I don't mean to judge you. I'm just going to tell you why you're wrong. Nothing in ordinary, properly administered male circumcision impedes the proper functioning of the organ, period. Oh, but you get callus on it and it's never as sensitive as it would. All right, callus on my hands is not mutilating my hands. Oh, but you can't undo it. All right, that's called a scar. What's the other one? What's the other argument typically? Oh, but when it goes wrong, when it goes wrong, shit goes wrong. There's very, very, very bad horror stories, and I'm not defending the other way that some ultra-religious do it. They say, oh, but what about the tzitzi bepe when the rabbi sucks out the blood and gives herpes to babies? Nobody's talking about that either, by the way. Just spoiler alert, I have yet to meet any Jew in the Jewish community that actually approves of that method of circumcision. But standard circumcision, other than the argument for potential health benefits, you don't get the risk of strangulation around an erection with the tit skin. There's arguments, I know that people debate them as to whether or not it actually reduces the likelihood of sexually transmitted diseases. The bottom line, snipping that piece of foreskin off does not impede or alter the proper functioning of the penis, period. But I appreciate that some people don't like it. Don't do it to your kids. I can just tell you one thing. It was done to me. It was so painful I couldn't walk for a year. Bada bing, bada boom. So that is Tish James, always looking out for the young children who are mentally unwell by definition, easily exploitable, and the industry behind what has been created of that industry. Appreciate, by the way, when they talk about it, look, doctors are reluctant to give the procedure. No shit, as they should be. But if you read through the lines, what you understand is that this has created an industry. And once that industry gets created, there is the corruption, there is the corporate corruption. And what you have right now is the medical industry using their useful idiots a la Tish James to try and protect their medical gravy train of creating patients for life. You give puberty blockers to a kid and cause that kid to have micro penis. They're patients for life. You give a double mastectomy to a healthy girl. You have created a patient for life. They should be understanding that if there's justice on this earth, they will be creating lawsuits for life. So the executive order about flipping time, states that defy it, cut off federal funding, and go after these criminals who are mutilating the genitals of vulnerable and mentally unwell children. Period.